I'm more worried about the emotional state of this team right now and where they go forward in terms of what they've been in the past.
Well, let's see if he was over and had possession. No, incomplete. Kerry Rowe.
These kind of shots, but this is hard to avoid here. Ooh, that's helmet to helmet by Eric Smith.
Helmet-to-helmet hits are an increasing problem in football.
The main injury helmet-to-helmet hits lead to is concussions.
They can also lead to more fatal injuries, such as spinal cord injuries.
And watch this hit. Coming in from the right is going to be Ike Taylor. Helmet to helmet.
We decided to get a first-hand look at concussions from someone who has suffered one while playing football.
When did you suffer your first concussion?
I suffered my first concussion in the fall of 2006 during my 5th game of my regular football season. I was in 7th grade.
What did it feel like?
It didn't really feel like anything. I blacked out for a good 10 seconds. When I came to, I was on the sideline, and my dad was standing over me next to my coach.
What did your coaches do then?
My coach, they asked me a series of questions to see if I remembered anything, and I could not remember anything.
What was going through your head when all that happened?
I was really scared. I didn't know. At first, I was really confused because I thought I was somewhere else, and during the whole process, I was really scared because I didn't know if it would cause permanent damage to my head or brain.
Final question. After you were cleared from the doctor to play again, did you feel fine and normal?
Yeah, for the most part I did. Everything was relatively back to normal after a couple weeks off the football field. Only thing that felt weird was not playing, so
there's a saying, when in doubt, send it out. Unlike a broken leg or a bruise, concussions are not easily identified, but they're equally, if not more, dangerous. 90% of the concussions occur without a loss of consciousness, and many students simply do not know if they are injured. A prolonged diagnosis, when the pressure to play surpasses the need for treatment, can mean dangerous and harmful results to students. In the past 4 years, there were nearly 400,000 reported concussions in high school athletes.
To get a different perspective, we went to get an interview with someone who works with concussions. What is the medical definition of a concussion?
A medical definition of a concussion is any injury to the head that is sustained by a blunt force trauma, such as the head hitting the ground, head getting hit by another head, anything that's going to cause that brain to kind of move inside the skull.
And what do you think about the number of concussions you see in the NFL increasing? And why do you think this is happening?
So with the number of concussions in the NFL, I mean, we've known that there's been concussions in the NFL, and the definition of a concussion has kind of changed in the last 10 years. Nowadays, it is anything that will impact that cognitive ability after they sustain that head blow. It used to be defined as anything that will loses consciousness. So if the athlete loses consciousness, they have a concussion. Nowadays, we know with our research that it's not just that loss of consciousness. So a lot more concussions are being diagnosed because of the changes in the abilities to see those subtle impacts of the concussion.
All right. And has there been an increase in the amount of concussions you've seen in recent years?
At the high school level, yeah. I think it's one of those things where a lot of these kids are bigger, faster, stronger. Mm-hmm. And the equipment is definitely getting better, but it's one of those things where as these kids get bigger, the amount of concussions have kind of gone up. And again, the other thing is our tools have gotten more sophisticated, so we're able to see those small, subtle changes in the athletes' demeanor and whatnot, and so that allows us to kind of see and evaluate and make sure that they can get back onto the field safely. So yeah, I think the amount of concussions has probably been about the same, but the amount that we are catching now is probably increased.
Okay. And what do you think about the concussion policy in the NFL?
I don't know the official policy. I know this year they actually changed some of their literature to no same-day return to play. So that has been kind of a big thing with the NFL. It's one of those things where it is now from the NFL down to the high school level, we're now using that same policy where if there is a concussion with that athlete, they have to go through a series of steps that usually takes anywhere from 4 to 6 days, sometimes even longer, to get them back instead of just letting them go back in once they sustain that concussion.
Okay. And do you think the NFL or other football league could do anything to prevent concussions?
Education is a big thing. Teaching kids how to tackle properly and all that fun stuff is going to be really a key to help them reduce the amount of concussions. Again, these kids are getting bigger and faster and stronger, so it's going to be really hard to prevent them, but it'll be nice to have some of that education to kind of help decrease the amount of these really big hits that are happening. The other thing is that we have good protocols now established. Once they do have a concussion, we can kind of help them out and get them fixed up.
Okay. And do you think the federal government could step in and do anything to prevent concussions in football?
I don't know about the federal government. I know a lot of the associations like the American Medical Association and the National Athletic Training Association, a lot of us have come together and kind of given guidelines to the NFL, the NHL, high school, the National High School Federation. So I don't know about the government necessarily stepping in, but I know a lot of these associations that have a very medical background are stepping in and giving these guidelines for athletic trainers such as myself to kind of help follow so we can get those kids back in as soon as possible, but as safe.
I never talked to them boys that sat on them benches, man. I was in the game on 4th and inches. Coach, put me in the game on 4th and inches, and I'ma lead them boys.
What a hit, ball's out. Recovered by Timmons. Ryan Clark is still down.
Them boys at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I see them boys all behind me winless. I ain't Mario Williams, but I'm not defenseless. Wide receiver catching Hail Marys, I'm Christian. 5 and out, hot route, again switch stick shift. Gone with the quickness, fast and instant. Cornerback safeties, I burn them like incense. On the field, I'm daddy and the ball is my infant. I don't need too much of pork, but I'm in love with the pigskin. All I